Okay, guys, welcome into Three High Safeties. It is football day. We finally made it. Joined by Dr. Eric Eager and his good buddy, our good buddy, Soren Petro. Let's start off with Dak Prescott. Is he capable of winning MVP this season? That's what our Anthony Tresh suggested. What do you think, Soren?
I think he's capable of it, right? I mean, the team's going to have the performance it takes to get you the MVP. Statistically, he had the kind of numbers that MVPs have last year. They didn't have the kind of season they needed to have. So I think he's capable of it, right? I think Patrick Mahomes is everyone's favorite, and the numbers are right to post him as the favorite. And I think anybody that you take outside of Mahomes, you're going to need a little help, right? And so I think you're looking for value plays outside of Mahomes and to maybe comboed up. But I think Dak's got as good a chance as anybody not named Patrick Mahomes to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with Soren here. The Dallas Cowboys were first in yards per play last year. They were a top 10 team in yards per play allowed defensively. They had one of the worst kicking games in the NFL. They go ahead and get Jim Fossil and Greg Zuerlein from the LA Rams. That's going to be sewn up a little bit. And you look at that division, the Washington football team, not very good. New York Giants might be the worst team in the NFL. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, you look at the issues they have on the offensive line. They lose Malcolm Jenkins in the secondary. Dallas might be one of those teams that wins 12, 13 games, and no one else in their division wins more than 8. And that, to Soren's point, that's the recipe. If Mahomes doesn't throw for 40 touchdowns, and Dak does, and his team's the 1 seed in the NFC, he's got a shot. And when I look at the NFC, I think there's a number of teams for which that's true, whereas you look at the other side of the ledger in the AFC, there's really only 2 teams that right now have a realistic chance to be the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think there's a number of people that have a shot at it, but Dak has as good a shot as anybody, and it's not because Dak got a lot better this season. It's because he's already shown that he's one of the most susceptible quarterbacks in the NFL to the supporting cast around him. Dak goes as his supporting cast goes, and this might be the best supporting cast he's ever had when you look at the extra additions from the draft with guys like CeeDee Lamb. When you look at the coaching changes, this could be a year where Dak looks like an MVP, wins an MVP, and then puts the Cowboys in a real bind in terms of what they're going to do with his contract. But let's pivot to Thursday Night Football, the opening night, and what we expect to see. Our Ben Lindsay wrote an interesting article that was pitching bold predictions for tonight. Give me a bold prediction for tonight, Soren.
Listen. It's an odd shaped ball, right? So funny bounces happen, things can occur. And then throw in that it's not only the first game, it's the first game, right? Because they haven't played any preseason games. So one thing is that this road's got a fork that can go really wide in 2 directions, right? If the mistakes are blown coverages, either one of these teams can blow this thing wide open, right? Big plays and run. If the mistakes are on the blocking and the quarterbacks are getting hit, not seeing it coming, and they're putting the ball on the turf, it blows it open that way. The question is, are the mistakes going to balance out? Are the mistakes going to be giant ones for one team and not the other? I think this is a game that should be offensive in nature, right? I think both offenses should have an advantage. I think Texans' strength plays to Chiefs' weakness. The secondary questions that they have, which are enhanced by Bashaud Breeland being out. I've talked with Eric a lot of times about the inability of the Chiefs linebackers to cover backs out of the backfield. Aaron Jones had a field day in one of the Chiefs' losses last year. Now they've got 2 backs that have been in their career very effective coming out of the backfield to catch the ball. I think that's going to be big. This game, may come down to who gets more pressure. The Chiefs had no sacks on Deshaun Watson. They lost the regular season game. They had 5 on him in the playoff game. They won that game. So who can pressure the other team's quarterback in a time where there's going to be mistakes may be the one. So if I were to make a bold prediction, it's that whoever wins this game, if it's the Chiefs, it's going to be really big. They're going to get on a roll and go. But I think the Texans have a better shot to win this than that 9-point spread would be. I mean, I think you look at that and you say, well, I can get a backdoor cover here with the Texans. I think the reality is, if anything, the mistakes are ones that open this thing up. And I think the Texans are one that can actually, race with the Chiefs a little bit if that's what this comes down to.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it a little differently. I think that the Chiefs are going to be the only team in this game that is capable of big plays. The secondary for Kansas City is not good from a personnel standpoint relative to where it was a season ago. But one thing they don't do is give up massive plays in the passing game, and a lot of that is due to Tyrann Mathieu. Juan Thornhill comes back, after an ACL. Daniel Sorensen is not a great player in a vacuum, but in that defense, I think he's fine. And, the Spagnuolo defense is all about keeping things in front of them. And when you look at the way that Houston is constituted now, the player that's going to make plays against them tonight is Randall Cobb. The rest of their receivers, the Cooks, as if he's healthy, the Fullers, they're down the field, players. And I think the Chiefs, maybe to their detriment on a per play basis, but to their benefit on a full game basis, don't give up big plays. And so I think this is going to be kind of more of a grinded out game for Houston. If they're going to win offensively, they're going to have to do it the way that they did in October against the Chiefs last season, which is to run for almost 200 yards and to sort of keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes.
The bold prediction that I really like from Ben's article is that Deshaun Watson is going to end up getting sacked 6 times in this game, because few quarterbacks take sacks as often as Deshaun Watson does. He isn't quite at the Kyler Murray level from last year, but over the past 2 seasons, we've charged him individually with 26 sacks. That's a huge number for a quarterback, and we don't yet know how the loss of DeAndre Hopkins is going to affect him. Maybe he actually holds onto the ball a beat longer because his crutch isn't there anymore. So I could easily see things spiraling out of control and him getting sacked a ton. But let's get out of here on this. Who's going to win, and how's the game going to go?
You want first, Eric? You want me to go?
I'll go. I think Kansas City wins, but it's an interesting way. We were talking about this on the PFF forecast. I would rather bet Houston +9 than I would bet them +15 in a teaser, because I think this game has the potential to be a close game, a down-to-the-wire game, a fun game, or the Chiefs are going to beat the brakes off of Houston. And I don't know if there's anything sort of in between. And so I like Deshaun Watson. He's not as good as Mahomes for the reason that Ben talked about in his article, which is he takes too many sacks, there's too many negative plays. But at his best, I think he can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, and I hope I see that tonight.
I think Eric's dead on. I mean, the Chiefs have never lost a game by more than 1 score with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback, and it's rarely happened even before Patrick Mahomes with Andy Reid. They just don't get run out of a game. Now, you're getting 9. You don't have to pummel the Chiefs to get the cover with the Texans. But I think that's important, because when they hang around in games, you can see what happened in the Super Bowl. In the last 5 minutes, they can take a game where it looks like, they're being bested, and they dust the other team and win by double digits. So, you really have to beat the Chiefs twice, because they're never dead. And I'll say this, I think there's a potential one maybe for a hangover to be there, because it's been 50 years since this franchise won. And maybe this team's kind of groggy, and they look like the 2000 Rams that went 9-7 after their incredible, 1999 season where they won the Super Bowl. I could see that scenario. But I also see the scenario where they click on all cylinders. They were hurt in getting out to 6-4 and hurt in key places. Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill, Eric Fisher, all over the place. They had all kinds, Patrick Mahomes, obviously. They had all kinds of injuries. Once everybody came back, they were blowing people out. And in the playoffs, well, yes, they trailed by double digits in all 3 of those games. They won all 3 by double digits. The first team to win all their playoff games by double digits since the 0-2 Bucks. I'm not sure what the Bucks being the last team to do that says, because they didn't go on to any great follow-up season. But it does say something about the Chiefs that they won every one of those games by double digits. I think it's possible that they're actually underrated. So I know I hype all that up, and so you think I'm going to go like 51, 13 Chiefs. I'm going to go 33-27, because I think sloppy mistakes will drag this game back kind of to the mean. So I'll take the Chiefs to get it. I'll take the Texans to cover it. But I would not bet this game. I would not bet the Texans. I would stay off anything if I wasn't playing the Chiefs and Andy Reid.
That's the kind of result I'm hoping for. I think we all know what we're going to get from the Chiefs. They're going to be good. They're going to get up some points. The only hope is that Deshaun Watson shows up and the Texans can actually come some way towards matching them, because I think Deshaun Watson in his best games is very, Patrick Mahomes light. He's very close to that kind of level. The problem is he has these bad games that Mahomes just doesn't have, or hasn't had so far in the NFL. So let's hope we don't get a bad Deshaun Watson game and they can actually slug it out for the majority of the game, albeit with the Chiefs probably coming out on top at the end.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.